Hi, Ben.
Howdy.
Can you hear me? I don't know where all the leftists are. They didn't come to the front, but I used to be a leftist. You converted me about a year ago.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Really? Wow. Wow. Okay.
It's like an AA meeting.
I didn't expect that. I didn't have a speech prepared. But I'm also a gay Jewish Republican from New York, of all places. Now that's weird. And both single-handedly, you and my dad helped, convince me with really just intellectual honesty to consider the other side. So I hope you keep doing that. That's a perspective that's very valuable.
Thank you for actually considering it. You're the one who has to do the work, you know.
So I've heard you say many times that the marketplace works out issues of discrimination by letting perpetrators lose business from fair-minded folks, thus eliminating the need for government overreach. But I've also heard you say that while not illegal, it's nasty to exact revenge on businesses with boycotts. So what are you left with?
Yeah, so this is actually a really good question. So I think that the question is, does it impact the operation of the business? Meaning that, so for example, Brendan Eich at Mozilla Firefox is somebody who gave money to the anti-gay marriage effort in California, and he was basically thrown out of his job by the higher-ups there. And I thought that was nasty because that actually creates a climate where political viewpoints that you disagree with are a way of throwing you out of your job. If, however, you have a situation where people are, you know, the actual function of their job is being impacted. So Brendan Eich's job was not impacted by his actual viewpoint. Then I don't think that a boycott, if it impacts the function of your job, then a boycott might be appropriate if you disagree with the behavior. Right? If it doesn't actually impact the working of your job, I don't think a boycott is appropriate.
So workplace discrimination.
Exactly. So Brendan Eich, I mean, another example that's controversial here in LA, like if you can't show me any evidence that Donald Sterling was banning black people from his games, I think that boycotting the Clippers because of Donald Sterling is really weird. Like Donald Sterling is a piece of crap, for sure. But if it didn't impact how he was actually running his organization, there might have been impact on that, by the way. But if there wasn't, then it's weird to boycott him. So my general rule on this is that a boycott is appropriate if you feel that the business is being run in such a way as to be discriminatory. But a boycott is not appropriate based on the viewpoint of the person who owns the business if it is not enacted in the actual practice of the business.
And a distinction, discrimination based on protected class.
Well, I mean, listen, it's a free country, so, you know, my moral view may not be your moral view. Like, things I may boycott may not be things that you boycott. I don't think, so I don't believe in general, protected class stuff tends to me to apply to governmental action, not to private citizens, right? Okay. Like, for example, there's parts of the Civil Rights Act that talk specifically about what private businesses can and cannot do. I think that's an overreach by the federal government. I think the federal government should be in the business of what the government can do. Jim Crow is a governmental policy. Right? To pretend that the government was not complicit in Jim Crow, the government was Jim Crow. And as soon as Jim Crow was done away with, those Jim Crow laws were done away with, the South is now highly integrated. Gallup polls show that people in the South have almost, I think, precisely the same levels of racism as people in other parts of the country. So the market does work, in other words.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks.